What up? What up? What up? How's everybody doing out there? All right. I should be good to go on all platforms. The X was down earlier today, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, which shows you how reliant some of us folks are on it, including myself, for all the blowback that there's been about that particular social media platform. Very, very important when it comes to gathering information. I would say that, I'm not doing PR for Elon, it's just the leading information source right now. Anyhow, let's start real quick with March Madness because the conference tournaments are winding down, have ended in most cases, where you have, of course, yesterday you had the Big Ten championship game and the SEC championship game. South Carolina wins, UCLA wins. The rankings came out. The updated rankings have UCLA up at the top. South Carolina jumped. I did my own power rankings for women's fast break on SI. You can check out. And those, I have UConn at the top. And I know some people took umbrage with that, and I can understand why. I mean, UConn doesn't have the best schedule strength this season. They've lost a lot of games that were, big time showdowns. Really, they have the one specific big win against South Carolina, and that's doing a lot of work for them, maybe too much work for them in my case. But, I'm just wowed by Sarah Strong. That's really the difference for me. When you have a ton of parity all across the board, and then you have a player like that, like Strong as a prospect, JuJu Watkins is the best prospect since Caitlin Clark. Sarah Strong's the next best prospect coming up, and arguably, in line with the best ever, right? Like, just watching her as a big, her basketball IQ is out of control. She's a terrific passer. She has that size, skill, all those things, all the combination of things that you would want to see from a top level player. So I'm not so sure by the end of the NCAA tournament, we're not seeing her, Sarah Strong, being considered the best player in the country, all-around player in the country. I mean, she's going to have an argument. When you look at her freshman stats right now, it's pretty crazy. Just to even, especially considering, obviously, you got to get things going as a freshman. It's 16.1 points, 58% shooting, 8 rebounds, 3.5 assists. So as she continues to develop into a scorer, you're going to see more and more from her. And then when you look at across the board, there's a lot of parity. I mean, none of these teams are clearly above the rest. I have UConn and South Carolina, same as it started, as the two best teams. But none of them are clearly above the rest of the country. USC, UCLA have a case. Texas, Notre Dame, LSU, teams that could get in the mix, and any of those teams I think could beat any of those other teams on a given night. So it should make for an exciting March Madness. Then there's this conversation that came up today, which I also wrote about. You can check the link for that in the description. JuJu Watkins passes Caitlin Clark yesterday for most points scored in 2 seasons. Not the record, though. Not the record for most points scored in 2 seasons. Kelsey Mitchell actually has the record. So some people need to put respect on Kelsey Mitchell's name. Everybody was just moving past her because it's easy to put Caitlin Clark and JuJu Watkins in the headline, right? Or as the topic matter. But Kelsey is the top. She has the record. Number 1. Numero uno. Now, JuJu is likely going to pass Mitchell. That's also true. Unless USC is upset early in the tournament. She has to play, looking at the numbers, a minimum of 2 games, 3 or 4 games in order to lock it up. 4 would make it a guarantee. 3, probably, maybe. So I think you got to see a run to the Elite 8 in order to put that record in the bag for JuJu Watkins. But anytime JuJu is climbing up these rankings. The talk and the debate with Caitlin Clark starts going, and we get into all that. And I don't know. I don't feel like doing, a player comparison again today. All I'm saying is when you look at the record, like I laid out the actual numbers, JuJu's not on pace to break the record. She has scored more points than Caitlin Clark through 2 seasons. And I'll tell you why those are not the same thing. Because she's played a few more games in her college career so far, 3 more games. Their scoring average ain't that far off from their first 2 years. Clark's is a 26.8, I think, in the first 2 years, and JuJu's right at 26. So pretty close. The difference is that JuJu's numbers have actually gone down this year. Her scoring numbers are down a little bit. She was, the freshman. She did have the freshman record. So through a few more games, she's going to wind up playing several more games by the end of the season. She is ahead through 2 seasons. The difference being that Clark really jumped in her junior, but particularly her senior season, and obviously also played a ton of games in those 2 years because Iowa won the Big Ten tournament and went to the national championship game in back-to-back years. So if you do the math and you look at JuJu's current scoring average through college, she would have to play 88 games to break the record. That's not possible. The 2 next years and what she has left this year, just can't get to that total, which means her scoring number is going to have to go way up. And it's going to have to go up to, I did the, ballpark. None of this is official because you don't know how many games are going to be played and all that. But ballpark, she's going to have to average 28 points a game the rest of her college career to break that. And that's if she's playing essentially the maximum amount of games. If you dial back the number of games, of course, the scoring average has to go up. That's all I got to say about that. JuJu was not at her best yesterday in that game. USC has gotten the best of UCLA twice this year, but yesterday it was the Bruins. And JuJu, looked a little flustered as the game went on. Didn't have her best game. Whatever, you live and you learn. I mean, can JuJu still take a leap? Of course, JuJu can still take a leap. Clark did wind up, leading the country in assists as well as scoring her senior year, which should be always taken into account, just the assist totals, obviously, as well. But when there's a chance for media types to put them in the same breath and do a comparison and then people online to fight about it, I mean, it's easy, even if Kelsey's actually ahead of both of them at that relative point. But I just thought it was appropriate to capture the context and the the reality of the situation. So check out that article in the description, Women's Fast Break on SI as well, of course. Gotten good feedback on that online. I think I got 1 negative comment. Actually, no, I got another one on Facebook. I forgot. The Facebook one was crazy. The one on X, the 1 negative comment was just more cynical, I would say. More cynical. Speaking of cynical, let me show you something because people were a little skeptical, cynical, whatever you want to say about this here photo. Now, I saw it and I knew it was real because of the source, right? I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name correctly, but Bree Lurke, who is a professional and reputable photographer who also happens to chronicle Caitlin Clark often. So when Bree posted that photo, I knew it was real. I knew it wasn't doctored or anything. Now, if you take a close look at that picture, one reason it pops so much is because Clark's right bicep is actually just above her left bicep, and it makes it look like both biceps are part of her left arm. But you can still see the definition in the tricep area and up into the shoulders that is different and more significant than what we saw last season. And then there was a couple other photos. This one's a better look at, without the other bicep adding to it, where you can see she certainly added some muscle definition and bulked up, or bulked up might be the wrong word. Because when you bulk up, sometimes you can lose your speed and agility and fine motor skills. I don't think she bulked up as much as just, put on a little muscle. Mostly that's for absorbing contact and still finishing, not getting thrown around, those sort of things. And that was my main point about it. The Fever are not going to get thrown around next season. Clark and the Fever are not going to get thrown around next season. And Clark was already a lot stronger than she's given credit for, because she finishes at the rim at an elite level. Like, Caitlin shot better at the rim than like Asia Wilson, for instance. Just the percentage within however many feet it is. So, that's the truth of the matter of how strong a finisher she actually already was. But at times, defensively, you don't want to get bodied. Obviously, again, you don't want to get thrown around to the floor or anything. You want to have better balance. I think in that in-between game, the floaters and all that stuff, those are all reasons to add strength and get bigger, as Caitlin Clark did in the offseason. You also grow up. You can forget she's young, right? So for anybody who thought that picture was fake, no, it's not fake. It was a real photo. Obviously, when you're like flexing, it's going to look different than when you're just relaxed or whatever. But I think, in combination with what Stephanie White said, that Caitlin Clark has gotten stronger in the offseason, you see she indeed did add some size and some mass. A few, 5 pounds, maybe? Something like that would be my guess. 5 to 10 pounds, I would bet you, between rookie season to the second season. And then, of course, the Fever also added a bunch of players who aren't going to stand for nonsense. Aren't going to stand for any of that. DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, Sid Colson, all players like that who make the Fever tougher. Oh, there was one other thing that kind of blew up over the weekend, by the way, that I forgot to that I didn't plan in the show. But if you didn't see it, the Angel Reese, Nafisa Collier thing from Unrivaled, I thought that was pretty cool. Little smack talk in there. Fee told her, "Give me that shit," after hitting the game winner. Angel says that often in the games. And I think that's great for Unrivaled. So I did want to make note of it. Angel has had a good, strong performance at Unrivaled. Nafisa is the best player in that league. In my opinion, one of the 3 best players in the WNBA, obviously, alongside Caitlin and Asia. So that's just my top 3. But I think for Unrivaled, that's the kind of thing that can help boost them. Not any like mindless drama or nonsense, but like actual on-court competitive fire and drama. Or drama might be a strong word. I wouldn't call that drama. Just, that's part of the game. But it was cool to see, and I think people want to see that fiery competitiveness from Unrivaled. That's what I got on the rundown, y'all. Time to get to you and your comments. Let me know what you're thinking, how you're feeling. Please like, subscribe, all of those other things, all of those things in combination. Do them both. Like and subscribe. That's why there's an and in between. And remember, super chats, member chats will get read first as I try to comb through all of the comments. Always, happy to get so many of you in here, and we're ramping up now. You've got the NCAA tournament coming up, and you've got obviously the WNBA season finally around the corner. right? Finally. I know football free agency going on right now. We can talk about that for anybody who wants my thoughts on any of the moves in the NFL. We could talk about the Stephen A. Smith and Bronny thing, but I feel like that was last week now. Lots of different stuff. But whatever you guys want to talk about is on the table. I will start to get through the comments. Remember, member chats, super chats get read first. So if you want to make sure your comment is read, obviously it helps support the channel as well. Kevin says, nice win for South Carolina yesterday. Also, X going down at the start of NFL free agency drove me crazy. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about it in the context of NFL free agency, just my day-to-day job and life. So, one of the funny things about the X complaints is almost all of them happen on X. Right? It's like, I hate Twitter. I hate it as I tweet. You got to deal with crap there just like anywhere else, but it's still by far my favorite social media app, the social media app I use the most. All of those things. It's great for compiling information and having back and forth with fans and sharing things and whatnot. So you won't hear me crying about it, especially not on it. If I'm going to complain about it, I always find that funny. Aimser says, hey, Robin, catching you on live at work. What's up, Aimser? How are you? Aimser1, that is. The Chosen One says, you are CC's biggest hater. You talking about me? That must be to someone else in the comment section. If I'm CC's biggest hater, she's doing pretty well. She's in good position. She's in a strong spot. Bobby Yu says, I've had South Carolina as the favorites all year, but I'm shifting over to UConn because the Huskies have two great basketball players and one very good one. Yeah, I mean, another name there is AZ Fudd that I forgot to mention, who I'm a big fan of AZ's game. She has the best shooting form in the country. I feel like she has a very high floor, and at worst being a high-level role player, and at best a superstar in the WNBA. She hasn't been on the court enough, but yeah, I think UConn's top-line talent is better than anybody else. South Carolina has the best depth, and they've got Chloe Kitts rounding into form right now. Mylasia Ford-Wiley has really found her groove. So those things are good for them, but top-level talent, I think it's UConn. Because, Paige is experienced and Paige has played very well since January. But like I just said, I think Sarah Strong's going to have an argument to be the best all-around player in the country by the end of the NCAA tournament. So you add that to also you add that on top of that to Paige and Sarah. You got a really strong group there. Tula Play says, JuJu is not looking for the scoring record. She's looking for a ring. Hence, why have shot attempts have gone down. She wanted the scoring record. She put less effort on defense to take more field goals. Like, I mean, who wouldn't want the scoring record? I said nothing about JuJu from a judgmental standpoint. I just, people cover when she's passing certain milestones. And yesterday, obviously, she passed Caitlin Clark specifically. Not Kelsey Mitchell again, but past Caitlin Clark, which led to the conversation and the the clarification, I guess, that I offered. Chicago Cheetah, JuJu Watkins is not a contender by herself or in general? Or what? For what? USC's not a contender? Please remember to like, subscribe, all that. The Alchemist, not the beat maker, right? Alchemist. Hello, Robin. One of the older women's basketball fans suggests that Gottlieb is limiting Juju's development, and she may need to go to UConn for her talent to develop better. I don't see that really. I don't think she's being limited or held back or any of those things, to be honest. I mean, they were just rolling and they finally lost the game. She looked awesome against UCLA in those other games. Magdalena says, nice watching you live. Nice having you in here. Darnell, playmaker. We'll talk hoops right now. But I think you mean in person. I'm assuming. That's how I would take that comment. All right, we're building up. Numbers increasing as I go. That means I'm super interesting. I don't know if you know. Definitely means I'm super interesting. Trying to mix up the chat a little bit. Again, member chats, super chats will go first as I sort through here. I'm not talking about attendance for games or anything, guys. We all know one player is very popular. That just doesn't help anybody. Like there's no, what's the upside? See, Weta says Caitlin looking to throw hands if they try to do what they did last year. Yeah, I mean, look, it ain't really just about that. I mean, it's more about finishing through contact, keeping your balance in the lane, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think it's an obvious joke and obvious sort of truth too. Don't push me, I'll push back. Tay Boogie says Angel be having fee in hell when they play. Look, Angel's a good player. And very physically talented, right? Like strength, speed wise. There's things she needs to work on and refine, but her raw talent level can't really be questioned. She's definitely got a chance to be one of the best bigs in the league. What happened in the football free agency? I saw Justin Fields went to the Jets, and Aaron Rodgers reportedly going to the Steelers. Is that right? Did I have that right? Myles Garrett stayed with the Browns. Was there anything else of real note? It shows you when you start focusing on, one thing, it's hard to pay attention. When I do national radio shows, of course, I'll catch up on everything. But, day to day, I'm so locked in on women's basketball that's the number one focus. And then basketball, my favorite sports. If not that, it's more likely going to be like the NBA or something. And then wrestling, of course, I do the show with Denise Salcedo on Fridays and the SmackDown recap show. And I'm thinking about launching a podcast with Raj on his channel, Raj-Talk. And then, hip hop stuff and music stuff that just naturally interests me. So some of the other things fall to the wayside. Kevin Zwicker, you can go to his channel, Fast Count, by the way, wrestling. Thoughts on the lockout talk? I don't really have many thoughts on it. I don't think it's much. I think they'll reach an agreement before. Look, let me put it this way. So Angel Reese is a source of engagement for a lot of folks, right? So when Angel Reese does or says something, it makes for easy engagement. And that also factors into people spreading fake stuff. Like there was a fake quote from Angel Reese I saw all over the place about WNBA players needing to be paid like NBA players. She never said that, right? So that was fake. And it came right before the comments on the podcast. Now, I will say this, the comments on the podcast were released in the messiest way possible. Because Angel, if you actually watch the podcast, Angel says she's hearing this, so she's relaying this narrative or hearsay from other players, supposedly, or rumblings, whatever you want to call it, that the players would sit out the season. And then the podcast itself quoted her saying, we're going to sit out, as if it were her words. And then, of course, as soon as they did that, every outlet in the world threw that on a graphic as an Angel Reese quote, because technically it was an Angel Reese quote because those words came out of her mouth. Now, I wouldn't do it because I knew the context of the quotes. Personally, I wouldn't do it. But, you know, it's DeJounte was also on there, who is, I wouldn't say averse to messiness, the way she is posted on social media after games and all that stuff. And I know she's involved in the labor talks. But regardless, I wouldn't take the stance of Angel Reese and DeJounte Carrington from a podcast as gospel as to where things are going. Because, number one, the owner's side of things is going to use the negotiating point of the fact that the WNBA has not made money and has been subsidized by the NBA. But regardless of all that, the WNBA signed a new media rights deal, which means a bunch more money is coming in, which means it's going to be easy for them to significantly increase the salaries and still possibly turn a profit with the increased revenue streams. With the time between now and when the actual CBA ends, which is at the end of this upcoming season, has nothing to do with this season, I think they reach an agreement. We'll see. I could be wrong. It could get messy. It could be a lockout. That's always on the table with the major sports league and the owners when a CBA comes up. But it ain't giving me too much concern right now. All right, trying to move through these comments again. Member chats, super chats, read first. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. As always. David S. says, ready for March Madness. Well, I don't think I'm wrong. If you think CC has bulked up recently, you're wrong. I mean, her coach said she got stronger in the offseason. Doesn't mean she didn't do any work at Iowa. It just means she, got a little more brolic this offseason. Who makes my All-American first team? Hannah, JuJu, Betts for sure. Those three are, I think, inarguable. Probably Paige and Latson. You have arguments for Morrow, Booker. Heck, even Haley Van Lith, I think, has an argument now. Who am I missing? Sarah Strong got to the point where she has an argument, but I think I would go Paige, Latson, Hidalgo. Well, do you have to do it by position? All-America team, NCAA basketball. If you don't have to do it by position, it would be those five. If I got to do it by position, Betts is the center. They had 3 guards on the team last year for the men, so I think I'm good. PPC says Stephen A was so scared he defended LeBron. Well, look, a couple things on the Stephen A. Bronny thing, LeBron thing. One, with Bronny James, again, I make this point a lot, but the criticism for him was out of line with reality, right? Like Bronny James was the 55th pick in the draft, the 50. Who has discussed the number one pick in the draft? Who knows who the number one pick in the draft was? That would be my first question to a lot of these people. Who was the number one pick in the draft when they're bashing Bronny James? Okay. Who was picked before and after Bronny James? What does Bronny James average in the G League? Because Bronny's actually averaging like 22 points a game in the G League. So, of course, Bronny got advantages with his dad. No one argues that. It's silly to argue otherwise. But at the same time, it's not as if he's proven to be any further behind the curve than someone who is drafted in his position. That's number one. Then number two, I think what the one comment Stephen A made crossed the line when he said, I'm begging or pleading with you as a father to stop this. That's the comment that crossed the line. The rest of it, Bronny can be criticized. But again, all that criticism is, because they're getting the same boost that people are saying Bronny got from LeBron. Those people are searching for by going after Bronny because you're attaching LeBron's name to it, which gets you more views and everything else. So it really is like feeding into itself. But it's specifically between those two individuals, I think the one comment Stephen A made that crossed the line was when he said, as a father, I plead with you to stop this. Tay Boogie says, how did you feel about the actress at Revolution basically calling wrestling fake? I mean, whatever. WWE holds full-on press conferences after their events where The Rock is talking about something being a great angle and breaking kayfabe. Travis Scott has the Wrestling is Real shirt because I don't know if anybody knows, but Travis Scott was part of the John Cena heel turn that saw Cena join The Rock and betray Cody Rhodes. And Travis Scott actually hit Cody Rhodes hard in the head, busted him open, black eye, I think an eardrum injury I saw reported. So I did a little short on that. You can catch it on the channel. But the talk is that Cody will want his receipt, right? Which in the parlance of pro wrestling, that means the receipt means you get it back in kind. Meaning Travis got to watch his back before Cody goes in sicko mode. Like and subscribe all, please. Member chats, super chats go up first. Making my way through the chats right now. Christy Hohen says, how great for the Fever to have great scorers. Mitchell and Clark, can't wait to see them play again. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, right? Like you got the two of the players on that list. The best backcourt in the WNBA clearly. I mean, especially offensively. It's not like leaps and bounds better than anybody offensively. Chris Leclerc, Notre Dame has great top-level talent. They just haven't played like it in the last couple weeks. Yeah, I mean, I agree. The problem with Notre Dame is they have no size or physicality. That's where they've been exposed. They have elite guard play and Sonia Citron also. So they've got the potential. Where are we at here? Games, Musics, and Movies channel. Caitlin Clark will demolish all point guards in the WNBA. I mean, she already kind of did. Oh, Vonda Phillips with the question: how many more points does Juju need to catch Kelsey? Here, I can tell you. So Kelsey Mitchell's record is where is it? 1,762 points. Juju currently has 1684. So little under 100 points to go. I think it's 75 roughly from when I was looking at it earlier. So like I said, she needs likely 3 to 4 games. Twofold says, I just wonder if CC will score more or less as a facilitator with better scoring teammates. I mean, I think the key for her is efficiency. If her efficiency goes up, her shot attempts can come down slightly and her scoring can still go up. I think you see it, if you see a tick up in the 3-point percentage and overall field goal percentage, she'll score more. Brandon Sleep with the super chat. Thank you, Brandon. Of course, like I said, member chats, super chats go up first. Who was your favorite Fever edition? Natasha Howard, no questions asked. Easily, clearly, I think. For these reasons. One, it was the position that most needed to be upgraded. And now Bonner can slide into that spot too, but I think, it's a natural fit for Howard. And two, because Howard is so adept at running the floor, catching and finishing, it makes her a perfect complement to Caitlin Clark in that way. And Howard is also able to score in a variety of ways. So if she can get in the lab and really, get the 3-point shot going, that would take it to another level. I'm not going to say she's the defensive player of the year that she was a few years ago, but you hope she helps on the defensive end as well. But I think offensively, Natasha Howard is going to be really, really good for the Fever. Like really, really good. That's my answer to that question. Robin, did you see Angel inbound a ball and throw it at the backboard? I did. Whatever. It was just a mistake. Things happen. I wouldn't. Look, again, with Angel, you can loop it and get clicks. LBW says AR plays dirty. They don't call the pushing and elbows. I wouldn't even call that dirty. That's physical. That happens playing basketball. People are going to throw some shoves and elbows and whatever. I didn't see anything dirty from her. Dirty is a strong word for me. What Kennedy Carter did to Caitlin Clark was dirty. What DeShields did was probably dirty. But some of the other stuff, I wouldn't call the way Angel Reese plays dirty. We'll see. I mean, I'll watch more, but I haven't seen, dirty from her. Saheed says, I missed the old WWE Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era. Well, I think this is a new peak for them, a new glory time for them, golden age for them. What are my thoughts on Jade, Bianca, and Naomi? I love the Jade return at Elimination Chamber. I'm interested to see where it goes, particularly the Bianca aspect of it. Trying to sort through these the best I can, guys. Again, member chats, super chats will go up first. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Get into as many as I can. If I missed you, I probably wasn't ignoring you. There's a few that I might have been ignoring. Basil says, funny, Robin and the women do not believe the owners should be the first to get paid. The people that have not been paid for 30 years. Let's pay the women more. Owners, you can still run in the red. Who said that? I didn't say that they should. What I said was, first of all the benefits from last year have not hit yet. So it's being willfully obtuse, not saying you, but it's being willfully obtuse for anybody to say they lost money last year, even with that success. Stupid. The success led to the new media rights deal, which is going to lead to a huge influx of money. You should also expect, other things, merchandise sales, ticket sales, however that's all broken down, to continue to increase. All right. So I do believe that they will reach a new agreement before the start of the 2025-2026 season. Okay. That does not mean I'm saying the owners are going to bend over backwards and give up. That never happens. In every single labor negotiation that's ever taken place, the owners have more leverage than the players. I'm saying it will be easy to increase their salaries based on the increase in the revenue, while also hopefully turning a profit going forward despite that. Searching through the comments here, y'all, doing my best. Nancy says, there are more than a few women coming into their own, and the WNBA is becoming increasingly popular because of the young talent. Yeah, I think that changing of the guard, I've kind of, earmarked the Olympics for when I think you'll see that fully having happened, right? And we go back and look at it that way. Diana Noble says, who might be a real surprise in the NCAA W? Okay, that's a good question. And thank you for the super chat. I went and looked at the net ratings rankings yesterday, and I'm not going to say I know anything about this. So this would just be the thing that stood out to me about the net rankings was that Kansas State was ranked number 9, which I found very interesting considering as many losses as they have. There's something about their statistical profile that is raising them in that algorithm or whatever it is that calculates that. So that's one team just from a numbers standpoint I'd be intrigued by. Then from my own eye test, the two teams that I would be looking at, one is one of those ACC teams, maybe Duke, the way they played to close the year. But I think the biggest sleeper in the tournament is LSU. I think that, they're not a sleeper from a program standpoint, but I'd say the biggest sleeper is LSU for this reason. Flau'jae didn't play in the SEC tournament. Kim Mulkey was resting her, and they still, when they have Flau'jae on the court with Williams and with Morrow, that gives them some real frontline talent. Mulkey has the experience. So I think if there's, a team that's going to make a run that's not right with the Titans right now, it would be LSU, who don't have a signature win on the season right now. Selection Sunday is next week, this coming week, Vonda. Sill says Bet is a bit overrated in my book. I think she has to refine her game and, do something beyond size. I think that's fair. Do something beyond size. Grocery shopping for St. Pat's. Member chats, super chats go up first. Like I said, we got Erie Cliff. What do you need to grocery shop for St. Pat's? What do you need? When is St. Pat's? Is it Friday? You need beer? I don't drink, so I don't know. Brandon Sleep says, you see Nika Mule got a big deal with Under Armour. I did see that. I don't know. I mean, good for her, I guess. She had a really good. I didn't realize she was UConn's all-time assist leader. Obviously, she won a couple Big East Defensive Players of the Year there, and was sort of like a fashion icon at the WNBA level, even though she didn't play. But I ain't gonna hate. Congratulations. DP says her three-point percentage went up after the Olympic break. Hopefully that carries over into this year. That's in reference to Caitlin Clark. I think it will. If I had to guess, her teammates got better. Her coach got better. She had a lot of time to work on her game. David S. says, hit the like button for Robin. Like, subscribe, comment, super chat, please. All appreciated. Members. We got to do a members only thing soon. I owe something like that. We're also going to have a March Madness contest running, by the way. I'm figuring out the exact. If you have any suggestions on, like, aside from just like picking teams, we could do like player showdowns, like who will have more points and assists, Paige Beckers or JuJu Watkins, something like that. You know, that's just an idea if you have any suggestions like that. But we are going to have a March Madness tournament or contest that will reset every week. So we'll have a new contest every week. I think it's going to be like $10 to get in for a 500 prize on the initial run. But as soon as those details will finalize, obviously I'll share them. Pharaoh X says Duke, UCLA, South Carolina Gamecocks are the hottest teams in the country. UCLA is not one of the hottest teams in the country. They won a big game yesterday, but they had almost lost to Iowa and lost to USC twice in the last couple of weeks. I wouldn't call them the hottest. You want to say best, that's fine. But hottest, no. I'd say TCU's up there. They haven't lost in more than a month. Duke's certainly up there. That's right. South Carolina's up there. UConn's up there. Corned beef and cabbage, says Brett Atwood. I guess that's what you shop for on St. Patrick's Day. Erie Cliff, yes. Corned beef, brisket, cabbage, potatoes, and Guinnesses. Gotcha. No, I don't think you're being a hater towards Texas, Katie, who says, I don't think they should be a number one seed. Personally, I would not have them as a number one seed. My number one seeds would be UConn, South Carolina, USC, and UCLA. And then my number two seeds would be, and that's I didn't spit that out in specific order. Those would just be my number one seeds overall. My number two seeds would be Texas, TCU, Notre Dame, and LSU. That's how I'd have it. Night Owl says the more WNBA franchises become worth, the more power the women have. That's another point, too. Part of the value of a team is what it grows into. Clicks and Views says, does Tennessee make it to the Elite Eight? I wouldn't rule it out, but I'm not picking it, if that makes sense. Wouldn't rule it out, but I'm not picking it. All right, guys. A few more minutes. Get your likes and subscribes in, your comments in, any remaining chats in. Oh, Ronnie, you want to say hi, Ronnie? Yeah. The dog opened the door here. Hey, Ronnie. Ronnie, what are you doing? You want to say hi or no? Yeah, come on, Rohan. You can say hi. Who's saying hi first? Me. Okay. Big Row first. Say hello.
Hi.
Okay, talk normal. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about?
I love you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Ron. This is Ronnie girl. She has a billboard in Times Square because she's Little Miss New Jersey. Ronnie, what have you been up to lately? What would you like to say to all the people out there?
I like Daddy.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. All right, now get out of here, guys. All right. Like I said, last minute or so here. Anything else? Nancy says they love you too. Ronnie is actually R-A-N-I. R-A-N-I. That was one of the naming them. Raj was super because my wife is from my wife's name is Deepika. She is from she's from America, but her parents are from Guyana in South America via India. So she wanted some Indian heritage in the name. So Raj was an easy one. For our oldest. I don't know where he is right now. He's got basketball practice coming up. Ronnie was the harder one. And I actually was the one who wound up deciding it like at the end of the because I was worried that like people would think it was Ronnie Ronnie. And Lindy Smallwood. I see you. I'm not picking on you. It just brought the story to my mind. Ronnie. And because of that, her middle name is actually Juliet. In case she wanted to switch to that, or be known by that. But Ronnie wound up fitting her perfectly. And then there's Rohan, who's Big Ro. Rohan is like 100 plus percentile for his age. The one that he's only 3, that first one you saw. I've become a TCU fan, says Ruth Babbitt. I'm hoping they go far in the tournament. Look, I think they've got some juice behind them right now, for sure. People are in to TCU. No question. No question. As far as March Madness goes, I set the table. We'll get into that more. Obviously, WNBA season around the corner. That's really cool. I do have to get set for these practices and everything else I got going on today. So that'll probably do it for me. Any last likes and subscribes, chats are appreciated, of course. Comments, I'll get to as many of them as I can later on. Make sure you check out Women's Fastbreak on SI. Make sure you check out Raj Talk, my son's YouTube channel, Raj-Talk. And I appreciate all of y'all always. Like I said, we'll have a March Madness contest coming up. Kevin, Big Ro's favorite ain't Solo anymore. He flipped on him, just like Jacob fought too. Anyhow, that'll do it for me for this one. Until the next time, like Just a Kid from Brooklyn says, peace, or as it's now put, eat.